get into our third map.
Oregon is where we are going to be going for our third map here. The desk, fairly resounding BDS fans, it seems, as they do believe that BDS are going to go the whole way here and now. But none of these games have been straightforward, Blue. We haven't seen BDS really be able to dominate too much. We've not seen them have, fantastic round after round performances. Everything has been very scrappy, and everything has been very back and forth up until this point. Two previous maps, both going to maximum overtime. Oregon is a map that we know to regularly go to an overtime as well. Looks like we're about to see the same bans coming out here as the Falcons are going to lock in their final ban, their defender ban. Could be the Valkyrie, and if it is, that would mean 3 for 3 on the bans so far today. They are really making us wait for it though. Maybe debating something a little bit different, but no, there it is. The Valkyrie will be removed, nullifying some of that prowess that we know Shaiko to show on that operator. But up until this point, it hasn't done Falcons any good. Bans or not, target bans or not, they've still not been able to pick up a map.
So an exact mirror of the scoreline yet again here, or the bans rather. We'll get ourselves into the first round as well, to see if the Falcons can bring to bear that winning strategy that will absolutely be needed to keep them in this series, now requiring a reverse sweep to be able to bring themselves into that winning position and be able to lift the trophy in the middle of the stage. Otherwise, it'll be BDS to take it here all the way in 3-0 fashion. They'll be starting on the attacking side as well, where we have previously seen a good amount of success on this very map when they played in their series yesterday. For the Falcons, of course, we'll be wanting to bring that gargantuan strength out as well, and we'll be wanting to see that roam game come alive and well here from the very first round in the basement. So certainly going to be expecting some of it with the operator lineup. We have the Oryx making an appearance for J-Lad. And once again, we'll have a Joker going back onto the Legion with a few other elements adding into this as well. Mad Skill's still going to be playing very confidently on that Mozzie also to deny a bit of the intel game.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
Now, we saw Oregon yesterday, Blue. And we saw an Oregon that made us question, had we shifted into an alternate universe? We saw an Oregon where defenders struggled to win downstairs. I'm not sure if we're going to see the same again here. BDS was certainly a part of that game, as were Liquid. And it was a bit of a weird one. We did see defenders struggle downstairs in the basement, a site that is usually held in high regard for the defending side here on Oregon. We'll have to see how BDS choose to approach this on the attack, and if they are going to show the same prowess that they showed yesterday. Currently, heavy stack up inside of Blue Bunker. Looks as though Rafal's just waiting for that cue to call, as there is going to be a yellow ping out there, looking to disable any electronics. The drones work ahead of him somewhat. Going to be able to call 90 as clear. The Shaiko gets ready to burst on through. We'll be able to dish out a little bit of damage initially, but the opening engagement is going to favor the Falcons, as Len's going to be the first to fall. Renshiro and Shaiko, though, back things up, as this pushing through Blue has, for the most part, been successful.
Very direct play from BDS, once again ignorant of the roam game upstairs, but with good reason behind that as well. J-Lad now going to try and fire some shots in for me, and he'll be taken down. Shaiko just going on a rampage here. 3 kills already claimed, all from this back pillar clear as well. Joker tries to stem the tides, but it's way too far gone. And a very one-sided, very direct round from BDS shows up to keep that attacker-sided Oregon flowing strong and true as they take control over the first round.
That's going to feel good if you are BDS. They struggled on the attack on Villa, and they have entirely flipped the script here on Oregon, storming their way through Bunker. A very minimal take for the most part. I don't really think we saw anybody entering through Meeting. We didn't see much attention to Tower. We didn't see any attention to Freezer or main stairs. It was a very direct approach through Bunker. But that just goes to show what can happen when you have that information and you are very well coordinated. Now, we are going to see Falcons attempt downstairs again here. Surely they've got to play with a bit more bunker strategy in mind, Blue. They can't keep going for these roams.
Certainly not the case, but at the same time, what else do the Falcons have in their pocket? They've relied on this style of play throughout the entire series, and in large part throughout this entire tournament as well. We've really yet to see a much more reserved style from the Falcons ever since really day one, so there'd be a huge callback to that if they finally try to center themselves into it. This round probably not going to be it though, as we see a very similar note brought out for all 5 players here. Definitely going to be a heavy on the roam game. as they bring an appropriate operator pool to do so. We'll see Joker extend himself over here towards the small tower to look for some early pickups. He'll get at least one member of BDS looking to clear that out, but unsure if either one of them are ever going to come to blows here. It's more than likely that member of BDS will move away from this and regroup with the rest of their team.
At least you'd hope so. Alems is going to get caught there, catch Joker out there on the drone, and it is going to force Joker just to back up somewhat. He does have the goo mines that he can play around with. A little bit of an early warning system there for him. Alems going to turn his attention elsewhere as he looks to drone out inside of green. Rafal this time on the Monty, just in order to gain that ground again. Very successful push through bunker last time was what you could credit BDS for the round with. Rafal going to be trying to be that spearhead again. With elbow fully reinforced though, it's going to take some sort of hard breach to get through that. We do have Playday on the Hibana. Alem successful on that roam clear, will be able to take out Mad Skills. That's a kill that he's very self-sufficiently got for himself. So we can now hear the breach start to open.
One kill struck true against Alems as he attempted to clear things out earlier on in the round, but at the same time, one back from BDS. Go against Mad Skills. Shaiko 2 for 2 on this same shot as well. Made that very same kill in the previous round here and strikes true yet again to be able to knock out Joker. Gonna take a little bit of that peppered shot back out against him here though, but really nothing to write home about. And you can see here the Monty trying to set him up for success, just too difficult to work around with the kind of static movement parameters he'll get from tapping and letting go of the key. And he has to deal with another player from the Falcons position on the back stairs as well. Huge crunch coming in, but this could leave a window of opportunity open. You have two other members of BDS that could try to play into the side construction entrance, maybe even exit this, try to go back in through laundry also, but they're not taking that as an option, just going to try to brute force things here through construction, and the ignorance of the upstairs clears continue to slow them down. They'll catch one player moving across the site. Playday will be in position to watch out for that should that player try to go hyper-aggressive. Of course, Rafal has moved himself even further forward now to the very back corner of the pillar room, but still no sign of any realistic room for BDS to move themselves into the site just yet. They are held up ad infinitum until they can get this entry, but maybe an opportunity here. No, not going to happen, and even worse, the case has been dropped in the middle of the site. Kills denies the play. He'll get adventurous, start to look for an opportunity to knock out the Montaigne. They'll actually trade positions too. Could end up being a little bit of a mistake here to an extent as it pushes the Falcons out of the site and allows for a plant to go down for BDS.
I'm not sure how BDS have gained site control there. We've literally seen Falcons run away from site, a place that they had almost on lock, and now they are the attackers. They are looking to push through and break this hold, and Renshiro's going mental, picking himself up too. Shaiko a plant and a kill to close out the round. That was a damning rotation there made by the Falcons, really giving the round away to BDS.
Just an update with regards to our top kill bounty. We're giving away a $25,000 prize to the player with the most kills overall in the tournament. Kills from the Falcons currently leads it, but Shaiko is behind him. At the beginning of this series, right around 28 kills of an advantage for Kills. But at the same time, that has now shrunk. Kills still ahead, but by only 16 kills now.
Doable is the word that springs to mind.
Might need more than this third map though, is the problem.
He either needs a long third map, we need max OT here, or another map. Shaiko's already on 5-0. Kills has 1 kill, so that's +4 for Shaiko again. It really does depend on how Kills keeps pace, because he could just nullify a lot of the kills that Shaiko is able to get here. But already we've only seen 2 rounds, and Shaiko is on 2.5 kills per round. It's going to be very close when push comes to shove right at the end. We may have to go through and rewatch a few VODs just to make sure that nobody has missed one.
It's certainly a task for Shaiko to try and reach for here, but maybe just a little bit too much. So there, it all depends on how Kills is able to keep pace more so than anything. We know that Shaiko has been consistent over the course of this series. Kills is another question. He's got a little bit more adventurous in this round. Going to take up the top position here in small tower. Wait to see if he can maybe strike impact. Won't be really met against any of the members from BDS though, as they've committed to a pretty straightforward clear, and they absolutely need to as well. Falcons have multiple players deployed into the upper big tower. They're going to be looking to try and waste as much time as possible with this hold.
We've seen BDS struggle with these big tower takes before as well. Mad Skills going to be throwing the kitchen sink at trying to keep hold of things here. Nades are going to start flying through. Smoke to cover the line of sight, as we're going to get an Ossa Shield placed down on the window as well. all in aid to give a little bit more security here to the attackers trying to push on through. But they're going to have to deal with Mad Skills at some point. He holds a very critical position here. And you can't look to advance further in the tower without really taking him out. It all depends at what cost that comes at, whether it be multiple nades, lots of utility in terms of flashes, or even your life as an attacker to try and get that player further removed. A little bit of drone work going on at the back of rear stairs as well. Nothing really giving Mad Skills enough impetus to leave just yet. Open kill going to go on to Rafal, but Mad Skills is still going to be successful in getting the trade.
Falcons continuing to hold here. Surprising fashion considering the amount of pressure coming in from BDS, but that may finally start to change things up. Not only do they knock out Joker, obviously they'll be able to take down Mad Skills now with him already being down from the outer repels also. The threat has been dealt with inside of the big tower, and now they need to focus up on the site clear itself. See J-Lad still in position here on this very tough corner. Knows he's going to be challenged sooner rather than later here, and unfortunately only having the carbine and trying to play it out, but still lines up at least one more shot against Shaiko. Lems, though, will be there for the immediate pickup. Now that leaves O-Kills alone in the 1v3. Reaching desperately for any type of clutch you might be able to get. That's a great start to it, taking down Renshiro. Won't be able to find anyone else in this avenue, though, and BDS, with full control over the rest of the map, just takes a confident stand on the inside of Kitchen. Should be able to get this plan out without too much of an issue. O-Kills even worse, will lose about 20 HP. He ends up impacting himself, going down through into meeting room here. Not going to be able to catch either of the players on their post-plant transition either. We'll have some intel onto the cafeteria player, but I'm not sure if he's aware of the one that's gone back up on top. Flash will full white his screen for at least 2 to 3 seconds. Still no one from BDS pushing in to knock him down just yet. They'll need to do so soon, but there's going to be a peek from him. O-Kills with one. We've already seen him do this before. Can he do it a second time? Ready to contend against the top. That angle that's opened up from Alems. Tricks him off first. O-Kills. He's sticking this one, though. Nope. Off of it to try and take it, but Alems gets the better of it on how all 3 sites have played out. Before we see them go back to it again now into the basement here.
BDS have chose to approach this site in a very one-dimensional and horizontal way, often just sending a Lems out there to be a solo roam clear. And he's been successful in doing so. He's often picked up 1 kill before he's been traded out. I don't think he's ever actually made it in onto the site when he's been given that task. But regardless, BDS have been able to make it work.
10 seconds remaining.
The big player in this round has been Shaiko. He's very regularly picked up 3 kills attacking onto this laundry site, oftentimes from behind the Monty shield, which isn't going to be brought this time. Instead, there's a much more heavy focus on hard breach here, Blue. We've actually got 3 hard breaches being brought.
Definitely probably going to see a much more vertical focused take or traditional take from BDS here. We had a fuse soft blocked at the beginning of the prep phase as well. Obviously that got re-picked away. I believe it was Renshiro who had it at the time. But it gives us a good indication as to how BDS more than likely want to approach things. And indeed, we'll more than likely be correct about that with the initial clear that we're starting to see. Mad Skills has himself positioned in Classroom, but won't really be able to maintain it. He's going to make a mad dash back over towards Freezer. Player's already in position to counter that, but it won't matter as Mad Skills is able to get one, and Shaiko beautifully played as he's able to find the trade onto Mad Skills and quickly taps onto Kotos to make sure that he himself does not get taken down. They've got good intel onto this push coming in over towards Laundry Stairs. They won't be fended off by that either. Falcons once again on the back foot of this situation here. Gonna have to try and make up for it.
Shaiko just narrowly missing out on his own nade there as he got caught in the magnet. A couple of opening picks has really made things a lot easier for BDS in this push. They can now look to really constrict the ability for these defenders to rotate, and we're going to get Joker making a full rotation down back stairs, getting himself back onto the site. Loads of time left for BDS here, though. They've got plenty of hatches open. They can start to burn through some of this delay utility. Shaiko just positioning himself in the freezer. Gets a great bit of info, but can't land this shot. J-Lab, the SMG, is going to be enough to shut him down. And it levels things up here.
These nice little snipes that we're always seeing from the Falcons that seem to breathe life into their rounds, especially when they have these bunkers built up behind the Kona stations that we've seen once again come out as well. And certainly looking palatable here for Falcons to finally get a first round onto the board, but at the same time, BDS had a great swing themselves to start it out, so we'll count them out of the play just yet here. The time is certainly starting to get the better of them, as long as we continue to see this play in Freezer. Meet the site, though, should be on a good pace. Able to still shut things down and have a good amount of excess behind it. It's that next kill that's been evading them, though. Rafal knows he's got someone playing around with him here on the inside of the laundry closet. Just can't lock down that player's position exactly. Count's starting to get just a tad low for these guys, as most are immobile. We really only have about 2 left on the active players that can still be moved deeper into this site.
The Goyo canister going to cut off a good deal of time there on the freezer push. O'Kills got a little punch hole to be working with. It's going to be difficult to pre-fire onto, especially if you assume that anybody has been flashed, although Bredey hits him with the swing. Fantastic game that Bredey had over on Villa, and that's starting to translate into Oregon. J-Lad going to be lining up his next victim. This is going to be a huge kill if he's able to get it. Shuts one down, goes for the second, draws for the shotgun, and achieves the down. Final kill comes in from Joker as BDS are kept out of the basement.
J-Lad definitely getting the gold star for that round. From the snipe he got through the hatch to his heroic hold just on the outside of the freezer wall. He's really the only lone player from the Falcons that round that is able to stem the tide from BDS, fend off the execute from 2 angles at once, as remember, he managed to pick off a player coming in from laundry as well, but it works out here as the Falcons, coming off of that pause, are able to finally close out on their first round of Oregon. Still 2 behind BDS, though, and BDS is not going to want to take that loss lightly. Where do we see our defenders move up towards next? It is going to be the second floor. We'll have to see how BDS will look to clear this out for yet another occasion.
Strange to see BDS really getting stalled out on time in that last round. It's not something that we've seen happen to them too many times on Oregon. Granted, it was something that happened quite a bit on Villa, but Oregon is a very different map in terms of attacking prowess, especially for a team like BDS. All it takes is for Falcons to get 1 round, though, and the crowd, they come alive. They all of a sudden start the chants. It's like they remember, oh yeah, we're here to support Falcons. We must cheer when they win. Feel free to cheer if they don't get the round as well. Sometimes that might be the little bit of a boost that they need. There was a bit of a chat about fatigue on the desk, and in and around map 3, that's certainly when that starts to set in, especially for teams that haven't necessarily played in this sort of a format before.
Especially considering, of course, how the first 2 maps ended up playing out. Going the full distance both times is certainly going to be a heartbreaker. Mad Skills, though, continues to show us his own success. He just lines up a perfect one against Rafal there. Walks right into the trap. There'll be no room for trades to come in. A little bit of damage at least going to be catching the members of the Falcons as once again that fuse comes out. It's been a common pick throughout this series for BDS, making an appearance every once in a while. And this one manages to grab about half the damage off of Kotos, and they're also going to try to excel, push this forward a little bit further here too. Look, they managed to catch 2 players. They're still setting up the site. Shaiko gets away with another double kill.
When it rains, it pours, especially in Shaiko land. Picking up back-to-back frags there. Really important operators removed as well in O'Kills and Kotos. Kotos having a very quiet Oregon in comparison to his Villa game. The site looking very light here. We do have Mad Skills playing at the top of white. We've got J-Lad just hanging around there. Going to rotate onto the deployable shield and further into Kid's Dawn, but even he is coming under the pressure. Pre-fire there from the window. He's going to look to maybe try and challenge onto it, but it's going to be fairly well ill-advised at the moment. Renshiro, he's going to be there ready to dish out the damage. Just take a good amount of himself. There's also going to be a player inside of Attic as well, and is almost caught between a rock and a hard place. Does manage to achieve the kill, but gets downed in process. J-Lad not going to find the angle to finish that player off. There's an adrenal surge will pick Renshiro up just in the nick of time. J-Lad isn't cognizant of that. He might get caught out here, especially if he goes for a bit of an aggressive play. Doesn't need to land too many shots, though. Will chip Renshiro down a little bit further. But his attention needs to be paid elsewhere at the moment, as there is a push coming in through the trophy. Eventually shuts Renshiro down and looks to swing onto more as the top of white stairs Goyo has been popped. Toxic Babe canister is going to start to dissipate here, but BDS still have tons of time to play with.
BDS, though, getting held up in that very same phase of the round that haunted them back on round number 4 here. Not able to make their way past that breach threshold, where we already saw Shaiko pick up 2 kills as well, but unfortunately when he found those kills, he was on his lonesome. The rest of the team was not ready to move in, so could not justify the play, and now has left the window open for refrags to come out for the Falcons. J-Lad downs one, can't peek for the confirmation on the Shaiko, however. Bredey, I believe, being heavily lit up by that also, as he's going to be down to about 20 or 30 HP. Thankfully, because of the denial here against J-Lad, they'll be able to bring Shaiko back up, but the bad news, look at this utility. No more adrenal surge. He's already used all 3 of them, so the HPs are staying in place. Mad Skills takes out both the players, pushing back in, and he gets the white stairs push as well. So the Falcons keep themselves in this one away now from the tie at 3-3.
Mad Skills in the right place at the right time there. BDS forced in through single doorways. They didn't have an opportunity to get the breach open, and they had no pressure coming in from the double window. That double window is, of course, crucial, and oftentimes that's where you'll have your flank watch playing. Lem's getting taken out a little bit earlier on into that round, did remove that from being a possibility. And it's kind of surprising, especially given the fact that we saw Shaiko pick up those two really important kills. You would expect BDS to be able to capitalize on that, but they really just got caught in the weeds inside of that round.
BDS don't know what to do with themselves, it seems, when they get the kills necessary to work their way into the site. This has caused them to lose 2 direct rounds back-to-back now, being caught up at that threshold. Great entry capability, they just seem to suddenly be thrusted into that position, though, and don't necessarily know how to follow it up. So we need to see more consistent pacing come out from this BDS roster. The follow-through needs to be seen, as otherwise Falcons are going to continue to frag back into these rounds time after time again. They don't have to worry about it for one more round here, though, as we are in the 6th and final of BDS's attack. But the Falcons seem to be on a bit of a streak of their own, relying heavily on the interior site. Set up the problem, though, they have now had to go back over towards the meeting room. So relying again on those harsh cutoffs that have seemed to have shaken BDS's own execute. Not going to be as easy to force them into. Mad Skills finally punished for his aggression, though. Rafal catches his peek out and is going to be able to take him down.
It's an important kill to get for BDS. Mad Skills, a player that has picked up multiple multi-kills in this series. Always looking for a little bit of aggression in the opening part of the round, and for BDS to shut that down nice and early gives them a little bit of an edge moving into what will be the final round of their attacks here in regulation on Oregon. We've still got the small matter of clearing out Big Tower. A lot of yellow pings coming out here, as they do believe that somebody is going to be hanging around in there. We can see from the ping, from the X-ray vision, there's going to be nobody up there at the moment, and BDS will likely get that called as clear as soon as the drones start to work ahead. Shaiko, though, he's going to fall in a one-on-one engagement with J-Lad. Falcons level things up.
Falcons indeed keeping it even, finding a very important kill here also. Okill is going to be trying to add himself into the equation by positioning him just around that hatch. No one else from the Falcons really lining up any huge kill potential, though. These things are going to go quiet for a minute as it falls to BDS to make the next move. No easy capability, or rather, they do have the easy capability to try and knock out the back of the stage wall here. As thankfully, they've brought the EMPs on the Thatcher. Playday, of course, in the thermite makes it all the easier to follow that through. Something they've had access to throughout the series because of those mirrored bands showing up throughout all 3 maps so far. They're going to focus on the attic access first. They don't want to skip any steps here, despite the fact that we're already encroaching on the 1-minute mark. They want to try and take this as carefully as possible so they can establish the harassment from the top down as much as they'll look to do from the back of stage.
Playday going to be getting all the angles open required. There is an Oster Shield upstairs as well that's going to assist with that garage hold. Kotal's going to be playing deep in behind flags. BDS might need a little bit of a two-pronged push here to try and destabilize some of this defensive prowess that Falcons have set up. Ranchero just struggling to get rid of that Kiba barricade. He's going to look to try and flash out the player that's playing inside of Oil Pit, but he can't quite get the angle on it. So it will now disappear as the bullets do come through. Rafal is going to be successful there, taking down O-Kills. And with the attic pressure relieved, it should make things a little bit easier when BDS come to push in. But they've still got the small matter of players deep in the site. Hiding out, we've got Joker and J-Lad still up and at him. Joker going to find himself a great pick over onto Ranchero. J-Lad won just before that. And all of a sudden, Falcons have the advantage. A kill will come in from the hatch. Rafal, he's had 3 on the round. Don't forget he got the opener against Mad Skills as well. 2 versus 2 now as Playday joins in on the party. He does have the case in pocket and he's going to look to try and get a plant down right now. Timer hitting 0, and Kotos, does he have the info? Goes for the C4 toss. It's a bit of a Hail Mary. The plant will be confirmed, but he didn't have the intel. Playday with the pistol confirms the plant and the final kill.
So close for the Falcons, but that last player ultimately just grasping at straws for the clutch. Doesn't have the intel, as you mentioned, on the plant position, so ground goes the way of BDS. They lock in the advantage, but just barely at 4-2. Either way, it's success by normal standards here, but somewhat the expectation given the way that Oregon has played out at this event. Fairly attacker side, and even yesterday's game for BDS played out that same way. So they'll look to take the edge yet again here against the Falcons, but who has their own defensive prowess increased from yesterday's game as they struggled just as much as their opponents did before they were eliminated in that match.
BDS's turn to take up the defense now. They're going to be going downstairs straight away. Shaiko going to be rocking that Warden pick again, just in order to circumvent some of those flashes that are likely going to be thrown in. Getting a little bit of an off pick from the Falcons right now. J-Lad is actually hovering the Capitao there. He's gone on to much more traditional sledge and then a Hibana, so really switching things around and keeping us guessing. I was looking forward to a little bit of Capitao play, but it looks like we might still see it. As Mad Skills is hovering for the time being. I imagine that that will get locked in at this point.
Attacker's objective is to locate a
Obviously,
bomb and
Capitao,
defuse it.
great operator at the minute, brings so much utility, and you do get the benefit of that secondary hard breach as well, should you need it. But you're more looking toward those smoke arrows and the fire arrows to really deny a little bit of area and, of course, deny a little bit of vision.
So we'll see the first bounce. The opening play from the Falcons start to work their way in. Skills taking that initial control towards the front door, and really Nitro coming out from Shaiko. Not really sure what the intention was there. Maybe trying to grab some initial aggressive capability that would have been moving in towards the laundry stairs, but it's met with nothing. On top of that, we'll see players from BDS quickly give up their positions on the top of the freezer stairs, not needing to put themselves into it for an extended period of time. They will quickly move back in and play towards the bunker. As we discussed before, Falcons has no problem ignoring the status quo when it came to the basement play and extending their own game out. For BDS, definitely want to take the more traditional note upon it, though. They're going to indeed try to play into their bunker hold, as that also worked much more prominently for them when they played this map for the first time in yesterday's game.
Falcons are going to be performing the jobs on the checklist, getting open those hatches inside of meeting. This is quite the contrary to the approach that we saw BDS take, where they went for a very direct line into the site and sort of forgot about any sort of vertical control. But the Falcons are looking to take that work through the hatches and, of course, position themselves in those key locations like Freezer, like Blue Bunker, so that they can have a well-rounded execute when the time calls. We want to try and burn out here as a little bit of a little bit hard breach, getting placed onto the Freezer wall just to give a little bit more of an angle. But Lems is going to be there to say, not today. We would like that kept closed, thanks, as we reinforced it with one of our panels. A heavy stack up of Falcons players here at the bottom of Laundry, as we do see the fire arrows come through now. Smoke to deny visuals, and fire arrows to go a little bit deeper. Toxic Babe to cut everything off, and kills now starting to come in. 2 for the Falcons before Lems is able to respond with 2 of his own. Is going to get shut down there, though, by Mad Skills, as the fire is still dissipating in and around the site. And Rafal and Breeday have a lot of work to do. Scratch that, only Breeday alive, draws it into the 1 versus 2. But with the plant going down, he needs to be very cautious as to how he approaches this one. Mad Skills comes off the plant as he's only 1 HP and can't afford to take another tick of the Toxic Babe, but hits the rotation and catches Breeday in the reload.
Breeday playing it all correctly up until that final push. Wasn't expecting the Falcons to get directly aggressive against him in the midst of the reload, so finally drops the clutch there. Very well played, though. Unfortunately, members of BDS just not able to contend out against that Capitao utility that have been thrusted in, relying a bit too much on their own delay from the Toxic Babes to other forms of it. Just wasn't enough to stem the tide. Falcons push their way directly past it. They're able to win out the trade war in the depths of the site to be able to claim round number 7 for themselves here and still keep their hopes alive. Only 1 round away again from tying us up in what would be a 4-4 scoreline. BDS, this last round was a bit of a fluke, though. They're going to go for the retry one more time here in the basement before more than likely moving on for their second floor hold on round 9, irregardless of the result here.
I think it's probably wise for BDS to give it another go down here. Things didn't really go their way, but there were certainly things that could be changed. Slight adjustments that could be made. Shaiko already going to be switching out things onto the Malusi instead. The Falcons rocking a very similar lineup, so BDS likely going to be ready for the Capitao this time and that heavy stack up in Laundry. Freezer hold was largely successful from Lems as well. It all really came down to that push and that utility exchange in through Freezer. Ranchero is going to be placing a couple more magnets in and around that location this time in an effort to try and stop that being such a big problem here.
Just a bit of an update in terms of the kill leader race as well, so you guys can track it for yourselves. Oakhill is currently sitting at 3-6, Shaiko at 10-5. Shaiko will need to be plus 17 over Oakhills if he wants to try and claim that reward, meaning that currently he needs at least 20 kills to get it, and that number will increase by 1 for every kill that Oakhills also gets.
BDS not in the position to be feeding Shaiko kills either with how close these rounds are. It's not as if they can just say, Shaiko, go kill. They need to be playing as a team, and as such, we can see them all stacked on the basement. A full 5-man turtle here as they have gone, we don't need to roam, we don't need to risk giving ourselves up for free, because we know that Falcons are very proficient in that early round clear. You've only got to look to somebody like Mad Skills to know that they are more than capable of picking up those important entry kills. We are going to see a bit of an attempt at an electrical trick here onto the hatch. The Lems is going to be tasked with that job for the time being. The secondary hard breach gadget will be placed down. It looks as though Lems may have found the time in there, but only just.
Just barely played out there by our defenders, is going to be able to properly deny things. Another EMP ready to go, however, to get that out of the way. Mad Skill's not immediately in position to throw. The canister down on top of it, however. So, see a bit more delay in the opening of that, as things will just be managed with the X-Kairos coming out from the Habana this time. A little bit more easy to manage for J-Led and the rest of the squad there. And finally, they have their opening on Lems. Can fully focus on denying the play from back pillar, but Mad Skills going to be using the Captain Tower in a little bit of a different fashion this time, trying to send himself in through the back end of this, smoking out the right corner at the bottom of those stairs, but no real follow-through on that for many of these players. Are going to start to see that, though, as it looks like they may try to go, and indeed, they are going to hop directly into electrical. We'll see how it works out. So far, it's an even 1-to-1 exchange. Another member of BDS has been down, but Lems also fully taking out a member of the Falcons with Joker falling down. Oakhill's quick to confirm over there on to Red Shiro, taking him down and evening the numbers truly now into a 3v3, but things seem to freeze past that point. Falcons, what's your next move? As you got to get a little bit deeper to get into the site.
Brede got a tough task here to try and hold on to Elbow. Lems is going to pick up another kill over onto Mad Skills. Brede eventually finds the pick onto Kotos. As Oakhill's left in the clutch. One player inside of Blue, one player inside of Freezer. He's going to know roughly where both of these players are. The case cold on the ground, not going to be a factor here. Brede, he's got the shotgun. He's ready for this close range engagement, and he swings and lands it. Brede. Big clutch there for BDS. Things getting a little bit tighter in that round for the Falcons. BDS not looking too stretched when push came to shove.
BDS are just 2 rounds away now from upgrading their prize pool, already guaranteed $250,000 by just making it to this phase of the event. What stands in front of them, though, it's not only going to be the trophy in the middle of the stage, but also an upgrade to $400,000 in the first place purse if they can complete the set here by winning out. Very well could be the final map of the series. Falcons have to start getting a little stressed here as they are being pushed to the bitter end and have not had a response so far here inside of this half.
That prize likely to be boosted up to 500,000 as well, given that the MVP of the tournament gets $100,000, Kill Lead gets $25,000. We've discussed already that Shaiko is going to struggle to try and catch up to Oakhill's, at least if this ends here and now on Oregon. But if we go a little bit deeper into the series, there's nothing to say that he wouldn't win that as well. Still, I'm sure that that is a bit of a secondary thought at the moment for BDS, as they've got a very tense game on their hands. And while they might lead by 2 rounds, as we've seen from our first couple of maps here, nothing is guaranteed until you hit that map point. BDS certainly looking to stay focused here ahead of round number 9.
So away from that, Falcons out on the board yet again. Finally going to ditch a couple of the specific site operators that we saw played into their basement attack, falling back a much more traditional lineup here for the upcoming site. We're going to see a much more active play come out from Renshiro. He'll extend himself once again into this armory position. Been seeing a few players play into it, but where's the support for Master? Nothing there to watch out for it, so J-Lad waltzes right in and makes very, very quick work of the play from Renshi.
Ooh, Lems. Ill-advised time to shoot the barricade, my friend. Mad Skills is there. He's going to deploy a nade to finish the kill nice and quickly. Save him, getting himself all the way up into tower. 2 openers for the Falcons. It's going to make things incredibly difficult for BDS to try and keep a hold of here. You think about all the different areas that you want to try and keep an eye on, whether that's White Stairs, in through Trophy. You're going to be worried about Attic a little bit as well. Rafale is actually going to be rotating into Attic now with the wall fully reinforced. It's going to be quite difficult if the side push comes through. He's going to spend a long time rotating to go and help his teammates. And that's even if you can make that rotation successful. There is a presence of Falcon players on this first floor, and whichever way he goes, he's going to be coming up against a little bit of resistance.
Falcons with no real reason to fear at the moment, especially with the +2 advantage they are working with. Is going to proceed quickly up the rappel and more than likely to start establishing positioning on the inside of Master. They use this as a springboard point to push themselves over into the site, but at the same time, there's at least one element of this defense that's yet to have been dealt with here. O'Kills knows he has one player from BDS sitting on the inside. Like he got a quick spot of it from the drone. So smart from O'Kills here. He knew he had that mute jammer sitting directly below him. Also going to follow it through the second one as well. Playday goes down. Shaiko doesn't even get to see the player that kills him. It's surgical from the Falcons as they absolutely shut down the defense coming in from BDS on that upstairs hold.
Flawless round from the Falcons, really punishing any extension that BDS wanted to try on that top floor defense. We had Renshiro barely extended into Armory and ended up getting taken out from Master Bedroom. Lems suffered some real unfortunate time, and as soon as he popped the barricade, bang, he was sent to the cameras. Difficult round straight from the off for BDS to try and work around there. They'll likely just scratch that one down to a bad experience and look to make some changes ahead of round number 10 here. Falcons slowly clawing themselves back into this, and the longer they keep BDS off that match point, the less pressure really is applied.
Is looking like it's just going to be another run around, as you said, kind of writing off that last round, more than likely because of the opening action that led to 2 of their players going down, on top of their kind of inability to get aggressive past that point, despite the fact that they were certainly set up from it. Not going to see a whole lot in changes to that regard either here from BDS, looking like they'll generally attempt to go for the same type of setup, but we are going to see the Azami get rotated out of it instead this time. Definitely not going to be going for that play into Arsenal. We saw how quickly that was dealt with. They just didn't have the manpower to appropriately defend that, so they'll focus the defense a little bit more so on Trophy while still keeping this security play alive from the looks of it.
Let's see what opportunities Falcons can find themselves in the opening part of this round. They've been very successful in that opening pick. We've often caught BDS unawares and unprepared. BDS looks to be playing things a little bit closer to their chest here and now, though. Bit of drone information there going to be gathered. We know the Legion's going to be in play. The goo mines do, of course, have the potential to slow you down somewhat and offer that little bit of an early warning system. Toto's likely waiting for the time to strike and open up this double window. Obviously feels as though that time is now. Cut the site in half and stop any sort of rotation happening there for BDS. Now, exothermic charge will be caught in the mute jammer, but we did hear a Gon 6 go off, so it's likely in the process of being dealt with here. And there we can see it is going to detonate. The wall now will be open, giving Falcons a clean line of sight into the objective.
Step 1 completed. We'll have to see how much more they'll look to build up for themselves, though, whether it's just going to be support from the rappel or an attempt to move themselves in on a secondary angle such as big windows. Seems to be the latter of those 2 options, more than likely being deployed by the Falcons. But do they have the confidence to move in? Obviously not being able to get themselves those clean openers they found in the previous round. Leaves them to second guess themselves slightly as they prepare to move up towards the threshold. Areas like the top of the White Stairs where Renshiro still maintains positioning. There's still the security element alive and well too, and Renshiro will be able to help out on that from the top side. The smoke's going to start to work themselves in. We do see the Capital played, and now here comes the pinch, trying to work themselves through walk-in, but so far, a good defense being put up initially, but O'Kills and J-Lad working together to fend off more of that interior site pressure. A fall goes down on the lower end of this one, leaving it all to those interior site defenders, and Lem's going to try to come in on a late flank here. Wants to hop up, not sure if he needs to go for it though, but the second guessing is costing him hugely. Falcons with the full site control has now left the Lems alone. He's not even going to have a chance. Joker reads him like a book, shuts him down, and it's another round for the Falcons.
Leveled up at 5 rounds apiece here, and the crowd is getting increasingly louder as these rounds tick on by. We've almost got ringleaders of the chant now turning around and looking at the crowd, getting them all geared up for what is to come. Could Oregon be the map that Falcons finally break this streak of coming back, going to overtime, and just not getting it over the line? Once again, they have come back from an incredible round deficit, and they stand level here with BDS. 5 rounds apiece, moving into round number 11. Back down to the basement we go for what is going to be one of these teams onto a map point.
For BDS, they're going to have to hope the adjustments that were made previously is enough for them to finally come out on top of this one and lock in that 6th and final round. But then beyond that, where do they go to be able to find number 7? That'll become the big problem for them and becomes the siren call for what could very realistically, again, become a 3rd consecutive overtime here, as our previous 2 maps not only went to that overtime, but ended up going to all 3 rounds as well. It's been a fully loaded gauntlet for both of these teams, and they can't seem to escape it. Even if BDS finds success here, they've got a pocket strat up their sleeve for the first floor hold. They need some serious adjustments to the 2nd floor play. They go back to it if they're going to look to try and claim number 7 on that site.
Falcons moving with the confidence now, knowing they have what it takes to stand toe-to-toe against BDS. They have what it takes to win a basement attack. Never the easiest thing in the world to achieve, and so far they have struggled. BDS have done a great job of holding firm downstairs. O'Kills has already got himself into a good situation on these back stairs, ready and waiting to take any opportunity that he may find, waiting obviously for some of his teammates to get into position and further move Shaiko around from his spot. Renshiro playing in and around the pillar as well. Nobody immediately for BDS is going to be occupying Freezer. That's typically somewhere that we've seen Alems play quite a lot. Of course, he can rotate in there at a moment's notice. Previous time we saw this attacked as well, it came down to a bit of a Hail Mary electrical hatch drop. They never really go too well, so I'd like to see a little bit more depth this time out of the Falcons.
Terra drones being used quite heavily to try and flesh out some of these positions. An important one landing right there in front of the playable shield removes that hard point for Playday and prevents him from going for these wild swings when Falcons are ready to make their construction push as well. Another one going to land true. Able to knock out some utility, holding on to that initial threshold deeper in construction. J-Lad just whipping out these Rotero drones one after another, making quick work of the interior site utility and hopefully leaving the floodgates open for the Falcons to make a confident push at some point in the next minute and 20. Potential swing coming in there from BDS. They make second thoughts against it, and Joker, a little bit of a mistake there as they end up knocking out one of their own drones. Still 4 others though, so shouldn't be a huge takeaway from them yet. Shaiko wants to go for the swing, but instead finds a lonely target in O'Kills hiding out there at the bottom of the stairs, knocks him out smoothly, gets another one before being traded by Kotos. However, the members of the Falcons, they're losing players far too quickly here. Alems already taking down J-Lad. Mad skills with one more pickup before he goes down. No support available on the trade from Kotos because he's still held back by a toxic bait. And now he's left alone in the 1v3. Needs to go for the Hail Mary clutch here. No idea where to reach for his aim and where to find any one of these 3 players, but still going to be trying to move in and negotiate it regardless. Kotos going for the check on every single angle, trying to be so careful, but now that he's been revealed, has to watch his flank as well. That player deeper into the site from BDS can begin pinching against him. Doesn't seem like they want to go for it though. They're happy to play this out on the time. Maybe the very same way they're able to get this. Kotos with one. Can he be the hero yet again for this squad here? He's found that first pickup against Renshiro, but running out of time. And now a Kiba barricade blocks him off from the diffuser. Try and route himself in towards it, but he's missed the player in Freezer, and that will lead to his elimination. Alems finishes it off, and it's BDS again to get up to map point first.
Map and series point here for BDS inside of our grand finals. Falcons just falling far too quickly there on their attack inside of basement. BDS standing firm. Shaiko living up to his spot. You don't get a spot named after you in the game unless you know it inside and out, and it's a joy to watch him play in that location. Everything is calculated. He knows every single angle, every single pixel. It was a big part of the way that round ended up playing out for BDS. That and the patience that they exhibited. Even in a 3 versus 1, they were not going for swings. They were looking to waste that clock as much as humanly possible, giving the credit and the respect to the Falcons, knowing what that team is capable of. You cannot afford to give them an inch. Here we go into meeting what could be the last round of the night.
BDS going to make an attempt at their first floor hold. We talked about this at the beginning of the last round. BDS not having the greatest results on their upstairs plays. They're going to go for the Hail Mary tertiary site and see if this will yield better results for them. We got some interesting attacker repicks coming out here for the Falcons. It's notably going to be Mara coming back in here for Mad Skills. Able to try and use that Gara hook, maybe even the secondary hard breach utility. Could just be for the G8 as well. And oftentimes we see her picked in for that. So oftentimes see Alibi be the same thing for the defense. Speaking of which, we also have the Alibi this round, interestingly enough. Alems is going to be picking that up to maybe enable some more aggressive capability for him. The analysis desk mentioned it. Alems a little bit more quiet on map number 2, but has certainly come alive. And if he's going to be allowed onto a comfort pick like this, Falcons certainly will have something to fear if he's put into the correct position to frag out.
I really want to see where this Gara hook gets used, if it's an attempt to gain quick control of tower. Or alternatively, you can, of course, move through a hatch with it. You can go from downstairs to upstairs through the hatch with the Gara hook. Alternatively, as you say, it might just be for the gun, but when everything is on the line, every pick needs to be very carefully considered as to how it is going to affect and how it is going to further play out in the round as a whole. BDS not looking to stack too heavily in on the site at the moment. They're looking to keep control of these adjacent rooms. Duff, Joker, hanging out below. Hatch open, so he could look to try and throw some utility up through. The Gara hook there, as predicted, is going to be an attempt to take quick control of this top floor, and it is going to result in a nice early kill onto Renshiro.
Renshiro a little bit off on his own, so playing a risky role from the very beginning of it. You can see a few members of BDS trying to peek out over here towards Attic in an attempt to catch the refrag, but no, it's going to come from deeper inside. Instead, Mad Skills tries to escape down the hatch, but Playday is waiting for him on the lower end. That evens out the exchange, brings us back into an even 4 versus 4. J-Lad getting a peek from someone on BDS, but he doesn't want the challenge. He needs to commit himself to this clear. They cannot have the confidence to move themselves into the site while the threat sits alive up above, but it won't work out for J-Lad. He'll be lost to Shaiko, and oh no, J-Lad, he took the case with him up there. Rafal closes it down with Shaiko, and that's gonna do it, ladies and gentlemen. BDS shut it down, and they will claim the championship here at Gamers8.
Fantastic run for BDS, not dropping a single map in their entire group and going flawless in the finals. A couple of overtime rounds thrown in there for good measure.